What's up everyone, this is Charles Wollertz at Wollertz Photography, and today I'm going to answer a question that a lot of people have been asking, and that is how to blur the background on your photos. And I'm not going to be touching on software or how to do it after the fact. I'm just going to touch on how you do it when you take the photo to get the effect on camera as best as possible. To get this effect on camera, it really depends on your lens and the widest aperture your lens can get to. In my case, I'm going to be using 3 lenses. I have a 15 to 35 2.8, which I'm using right now. I'm also going to use a 24 to 70 2.8 and a 70 to 200 2.8. All these lenses are Canon because I shoot with the Canon R5, which I'm using here right now. But I'm going to show you the differences from wide angles to a 200mm lens. To start, I'm going to be using the 15 to 35. So as you can see, it's a pretty wide angle lens. And right now I'm at 2.8, so it's minimum the blur you get. The closer I get to the lens, there's definitely more separation in the background. But because it's a wide angle, it distorts my face. I can't see myself. So you can see how a wide angle will get more in focus, and it's not really helping. The more distance you add from your subject to the background, the better it's going to separate. But wide angles are not very good at this. In this example, I got the camera set up on aperture priority. Let me show you here with the GoPro. There we go, aperture priority AV, and it's set at 2.8. Then the shutter speed and everything else is decided by the camera. Now if I zoom this 15 to 35, now I'm at 35mm, so you can see how it got a little bit closer on me, and the background is a little bit more blurred. So the longer your lens is, the more zoom you have, the more it's going to blur this background. A 35mm 1.2, 1.4, 1.8 is going to do much better than 2.8. But those lenses, I don't have those. All I have are zooms. Prime lenses tend to be a little bit sharper, but then you have your manual zoom, which means you got to walk back and forth to zoom. But as you can see, the closer I get to the camera, the more zoom you have in the background. And because it's at 35, it doesn't distort my face like the other one did. There you go. So you can really see how it blurs the background. So now I have the 24 to 70. This is also at 2.8, and let me show you here real quick. If I change my settings on video, that's me at 2.8. So if I change it to f16, you can see how the background is not separated anymore. That's why you need the widest aperture possible, and every lens is different. And usually the lenses that give you the best blur are the most expensive, and that's why a lot of people go to software. But as you can tell, there's a big difference from f16 to even f4. There's still some blur, and at f2.8 there's a lot more blur in the background, and this is at 24mm. Every lens has a different aperture, and a lot of them are variable apertures throughout the zoom range. And this is at 2.8 all the way across. There we go. So now I'm at 70mm, and now you can really appreciate how it blurs the background. And now this is on video format, so it's a little bit cropped. But you can really see how even if I'm standing further and further away from the camera, the background still has a little bit of a blur, and that's at f2.8. If I change that aperture, you're going to see how it affects it also. But the closer I get, you can really see how the background disappears. So at f8, if I'm very close to the lens, you can still see the path, and you can still see some of it. You can make out what the background is. The further away I get from the lens, the more the background becomes visible. And that's where your composition comes into play and how much of that background you want to show. So now I put the big lens on. This is the 70 to 200 2.8, and as you can see, the background is blurred just as much as it was before because I'm at 70 millimeter. Let me put this down. And by the way, the name of this is depth of field. That's how you get that depth in the foreground and background. So I'm going to show you a couple of images here with a blurred foreground. But this is when photographers refer to depth of field, this is what we're talking about. The closer I get to the lens, the more blur you get. More depth of field means more in focus. The closer I am to the background, the less blur you're going to get. So that separation is very important. Now here I'm at 70 millimeters again with a different lens. Different lenses, different focal lengths, different lenses and different focal lengths distort everything a little bit. The wider angles distorted my face. At 70 millimeters, you can see this. You can see how it's almost normal. The best focal length I've found, and a lot of people have found for portraits, is 85 millimeters. And that's not the same as 50 millimeters on a crop sensor. That's a big mistake that a lot of us made. I made that mistake a long time ago. 50 millimeters on a crop sensor gives you roughly 80 millimeter view, but not the same effect or distortion on the lens. That's a lot different. You're basically cropping the image. You're not changing how the lens works in that camera. You're not gonna get the same effect. But as you can see, the closer I get, the more blur the background has. Now let me switch it here to 200. Okay, so now I'm at 200 millimeters, so now I really have to back up. But as you can see, the background is completely blurred and the gimbal is about to fall. So let me stop this. How to readjust the gimbal. But as you can see, the further back I get at 200, you still get a lot of blur, and that's because of that focal length. But it still doesn't change the fact that I need to be further away from the background to get the better or the best blur possible. And this really depends on what effect you're going for. I'm gonna take a few more images here and show you what this looks like with the foreground as well. I don't have a lot here to choose from right now. For me, there's a lot of poison oak in here and I do not want to get in there. If you like this type of video and you find this interesting or helpful, please subscribe to my channel. It really does help me out a lot. Don't forget to hit the like button. I've been trying to make a video on composition for quite a while now. And I haven't found an image that I like. I haven't been able to take the picture that I like. And that's the whole point of the video. Right now the leaves are falling, they're changing. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make this one, but I'm constantly making different videos, whether it's travel or photography. So please subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to click the like button. And I'm gonna leave you with some of the images from today with the camera settings to hopefully help you understand a little bit how the depth of field works and how different lenses affect how your final image is gonna look. So I think that's it. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week. Bye.